Hello, everybody, and welcome. It is week one of the NFL season, and we have a full slate of 16 games to go over. But before we do, I want to quickly say if you're new, subscribe, we would greatly appreciate it. Leave a like and comment down below your thoughts on week one. And now, with all that being said, let's just jump right into it. We begin with the Thursday night kickoff game between the Dallas Cowboys and the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles are 8.5 point favorites in this one, and yeah, I'm not surprised by that. This game was a little bit tough to predict before the news that Micah Parsons was going to be traded, because at least if Parsons was going to play in this game, it might be able to help that pass rush a bit for Dallas. It might be able to cause some sort of disturbance for Philly's offense. But without Parsons and bringing in Kenny Clark, who is a fine player, he had his worst career season last year, but maybe he gets a bounce back in a new location. I am not really high on Dallas this season anymore, and thus I do have the Philadelphia Eagles winning this game. And it's just the fact that Philly is still that same team they were last year. They still have all the same pieces on offense. They had some turnover on defense, but for the most part, I am still confident in Philly's ability to just go out there and play a dominant style of football. And I don't think the Cowboys have the pieces anymore to be able to try and make this a closer game than what it otherwise would have been. Again, trading away Micah Parsons a week before the season, it definitely does throw a wrinkle into things for the team, even though he hasn't been practicing and he hasn't been at training camp really. It's still going to mess up the chemistry a lot on that defense, and it's going to definitely throw a wrinkle into their plans and their expectations for this season. So yeah, I do have the Eagles kicking off the season strong. Then Friday night in Sao Paulo, Brazil, the Kansas City Chiefs are playing the Los Angeles Chargers. The Chiefs are 3 point favorites in this game. And this is probably going to be closer than some people do think. I think the Chargers are a really solid team. They're going to be able to play the Chiefs close, but it is still the Chiefs at the end of the day. They have most of the same pieces from last year's Super Bowl team, and they're still going to be a very tough team to beat. For as much as I do think the Chargers have gotten better in between last year and this year, I just think the Chiefs are still too much for them in a way. The Chargers are going to have some questions though that might be answered in this game. The pass catchers being the biggest one. We'll see how Ladd McConkey does in the second year. We'll see how some of the newcomers will play. We see Keenan Allen back in the Chargers uniform after a year in Chicago. But there's still those questions there. And in the running game, how is Omarion Ampton going to play in regular season football action? How is Najee Harris going to play after pretty much missing all of training camp due to that 4th of July accident? We'll see. I do have the Chiefs winning this game, though. It's still the same Chiefs team. Mahomes is still there. Kelsey is still there. It is really hard for me to pick against them when they have all those pieces. And they're going against a team that they have shown in the past to be able to handle with relative ease at the end of the day. So even with this being a neutral site game, I am going with the Kansas City Chiefs. Beginning the 1 o'clock slate, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are traveling to the Atlanta Falcons, a game of which the Buccaneers are 2.5 point favorites. Michael Penix going to see what he can do this year, get his first full year as a starter in Atlanta, and I think he'll play fine when we look back on this season, but I still think it's going to take him a few more games to truly get the feel for the NFL, and going against Tampa in week one is not an easy ask by any means, though this is a team that Atlanta handled pretty seamlessly last year. They're both different teams, and I feel like Tampa only got better. Meanwhile, Atlanta feels like they got stagnant, maybe a tiny bit better defensively, but the offense still leaves me with quite a few questions that I feel like Tampa's defense is going to be able to capitalize on. I am also a big fan of Baker Mayfield, and I am a big fan of what the receiver trio of Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, and Emeka Egbuka is going to be able to do against that Atlanta secondary that is without Jesse Bates, who's been there the past few years. So we'll see. This game could definitely be closer than I'm anticipating it to be, but I feel like Tampa is going to win this one pretty handily at the end of the day. They just feel like the better team and the best team in that division. Another divisional matchup is next as the Cincinnati Bengals travel to play the Cleveland Browns. The Bengals are 5.5 point favorites in this game, and I could see the Bengals alone capitalizing on the over for this game as well for total points. The trio of Burrow, Chase, and Higgins alone is probably worth about 21 points per game. And according to some reports out of Bengals camp, that the running game is going to be more tailored towards Chase Brown's skill set, which means that the running game should only be better than what it was last year. I do feel like Chase Brown can be a solid back in this league, and the fact that they're apparently more so tailoring it to his skill set is going to help in that matter as well. The defense is the biggest concern. They do have Trey Hendrickson guaranteed for this season, though he has missed all of training camp. But at the same time, he's a type of player where it won't take him long to get back to be accustomed to the NFL regular season style, because he's just that type of player. He's that high of an echelon player. Joe Flacco gets a start for Cleveland with Dylan Gabriel backing him up, and I'm not that high on Cleveland this season. I do feel like Joe Flacco can probably steal them a game or two here and there, but I'm not sure if this is the one. I do have the Bengals winning this game. They have started slow under Zach Taylor. I think the stats, they're 1-11 in the first 2 weeks of the season the past 6 years. So definitely they're hoping to change that course. That's why they played their starters in the preseason. I think that they will change that course a little bit. Next up, the Miami Dolphins travel to play the Indianapolis Colts. At one point, the Colts were favored by 1.5 in this game. As of the time of recording this, some sports books have the Dolphins favored by 0.5 point. So that's the spread we'll be going based off of. And Miami this year, I feel like they're going to go one in two ways. They're either going to be a 6-win team or a 10-11 win team. There's no in between, I feel, with this Dolphins team. And the vibe is going to start with this week. To me, this feels like a must win, because if you're going to be viewed as a potential contender for a playoff spot, you need to be able to handle business against a team like the Colts, who, when both of you are on your A game, you are the better team then. This is going to be the healthiest Miami is going to be this season, and they need to be able to capitalize off of that. Daniel Jones is getting the start for the Colts this week, and they do still have Jonathan Taylor in the backfield, and I do like what Tyler Warren can do, but I just don't trust this Colts offense, nor do I trust their defense, which is going to be led by Xavier Howard in the secondary, to be enough to stop this Miami's passing attack, and even the ground game, which will be featuring Devon Achane and Ollie Gordon from Miami. I am picking the Dolphins to win this game. I am also a Dolphins fan, so there's definitely going to be bias there. Like every team, like every person's going to root for their team to win. So obviously, I'm picking Miami. But I feel like this game is kind of being viewed as going to be closer than it's actually going to. In any proper timeline, Miami's going to dominate this game. Obviously, we'll see on Sunday if that happens. The Las Vegas Raiders make the trip cross country as they play the New England Patriots to begin the season, a game of which the Patriots are 2.5-point favorites, and I don't fully understand why. Now, I'm not high on either of these teams this season, but at the same time, I feel like the Raiders are in a relatively better spot. I view the Patriots as about a year or two away from fully hitting their stride with Drake May, and I view the Raiders as the tail end of a three-era mismatch team that is going to enter a full-on rebuild in about 1 or 2 years. But I do feel like at this current moment, the Raiders are the more complete team. Pete Carroll and Geno Smith is a pairing that has proven to work in the past. The receiver room does leave some questions, especially with Jacoby Myers asking out. But they do have Amari Cooper there. They have Jack Beck there. It's still just a team that I feel like can definitely overperform expectations this year. It's a defense still led by Max Crosby, and that's going to definitely help out in this matchup. The Patriots offensive line did not play well last year. They did not play well in the preseason, and former first-round pick Cole Strange was just let go. Mike Vrabel, first time coaching in New England, first time back since winning those Super Bowls. And I feel like he's going to be a solid coach there, but it's going to take some time to really hit the ground running with Vrabel coaching this team. And this is, strangely enough, a good test for the Patriots. And then at the end of the day, I do have the Raiders winning this game. The only thing that kind of makes me want to lean New England is the fact that this is a cross-country trip and there is that jet lag issues. But I feel like Pete Carroll is going to have these guys ready on Sunday despite the whole jet lag thing, which most of the time doesn't even matter in the grand scheme of things. But yeah, I do have the Raiders winning this game. Another cross-country trip as the Arizona Cardinals travel to the New Orleans Saints. The Cardinals are 6.5-point favorites in this game, and this game could probably be closer than 6.5, but it's going to be mainly because of turnover issues with the Cardinals. I do feel like the Cardinals are going to be able to compete this season for the division. but the Saints are just in a bottom well in terms of how good they're going to be. Spencer Rattler did get the start, I believe, and it's not really going to matter. I expect both him and Tyler Shuck to play and get starts this season as they're trying to figure out who is the quarterback of the future, if either of them are. But I am expecting the Saints to be near the bottom 5 of NFL teams this season. Meanwhile, Arizona would sit near the middle of the pack. I think Kyler Murray is a very serviceable quarterback for the time being, but it's probably not going to be one you can win a Super Bowl with at the end of the day. Marvin Harrison Jr. entering his sophomore season, going to take a jump in production, I assume, and they just need Murray to get him the ball in certain situations, and they will be just fine. This is less of Arizona being a fantastic team and more of just New Orleans clearly heading towards a full-on reset that I have the Arizona Cardinals winning this game. There are definitely some aspects of the Cardinals defense that I like and of the offense that I like, but there is very little of New Orleans offense and defense that I like, and thus I'm going to lean the Cardinals on this one. A massive revenge game is next as the Pittsburgh Steelers travel to the New York Jets. The Steelers are 2.5-point favorites in this game. This is going to come down to the respective defenses and the respective quarterbacks. Aaron Rodgers and Justin Fields both looking to get revenge on the teams that let them walk in the offseason. Aaron Rodgers a bit more than Justin Fields because Rodgers was let go by the Jets while Fields' contract just ran up. Aaron Rodgers going to have DK Metcalf, Pat Freiermuth, and Jonnu Smith as some of the main receiving targets. Definitely a much better trio than what I feel Justin Fields has. And then the defenses. I am much higher on the Steelers defense than I am on the Jets defense. I feel like TJ Watt is going to cause some havoc there for Justin Fields, who has good mobility, but has been proven to be a little bit of an inconsistent passer. And that will definitely come back to bite him in this game. So I do have the Steelers winning this game. This is not to say that the Jets can't be a good team this year with Justin Fields behind center, but he has to work on his passing ability, get a little bit more consistent on it before the Jets can take that next step. Having Garrett Wilson is definitely going to help in that matter for Justin Fields, and that defense led by Sauce Gardner in the secondary is going to help as well. But I don't feel like the Jets have enough as a team to get over the hump of even making the playoffs again, at least not yet. And this week 1 matchup is not going to help in that matter. So yeah, I do have the Steelers winning this game. An NFC East division battle is next as the New York Giants travel to play the Washington Commanders. The Commanders are 5.5-point favorites in this game, and this is a great test for the Giants this season, who internally feel like they're a better team than people are giving them credit for. Russell Wilson is the starter for this team, at least until a few weeks into the season when Jackson Dart feels like he inevitably will become the starter at some point this year. I'm not really sure how I feel about that, but we'll see how their season progresses. But a great test is going to be their front 7 going against previous rookie of the year, Jaden Daniels, as he enters his 2nd year in the league. And this front 7 for the Giants has the potential to be a fantastic front 7. Abdul Carter, Kevon Thibodeau, and Brian Burns all going to be rushing the passer. Has the framework to be a fantastic front 7. The question is, can they just actually get home? Jaden Daniels' mobility was electric last season. A big reason why they were able to consistently win games last year and themselves overperform expectations. But yeah, the Commanders, I have them winning this game. I feel like they are the proven team at this point. I do expect Daniels to have a little bit of a sophomore slump, made nothing drastic, but probably going to take a little bit of a step back in production. But I don't feel like it's going to matter all too much as they have all the pieces around him to where even if he has that slight slump, they're going to be just fine as a team and still going to be able to win and handily win quite a few games this year. It's going to start in week 1 against the Giants, so yeah, I do have the Commanders winning. Carolina Panthers make the trip to play the Jacksonville Jaguars this week. The Jaguars are 3.5-point favorites, and this game ended up being quite tough to predict for me. These are both teams that I feel like are wild cards in a way. Both teams can compete for their respective divisions, or both teams can underperform again this season. Jacksonville with Travis Hunter. I'm really high on Travis Hunter. There are some reports that the exact amount of usage he's going to have this week is up in the air, which does matter a lot to me. Him being able to play both ways is going to be a massive help for this Jacksonville team if he's able to do it consistently enough. Meanwhile, Carolina is a team that I've been high on. Go back to last season, I was high on what Bryce Young could have done last season, and what he showed me in the final few weeks of the season last year kind of reassured my thoughts on Carolina. And even entering this season, I am high on them. Because of that, I do have the Carolina Panthers winning this game, pulling off the upset. But it's going to be a pretty fun game, all things considered, to watch. This might be a very tightly contested, low-ish scoring game, but it's going to be one that comes down to the wire. I just think Carolina is a little bit better prepared for a game like this. I like Bryce Young. I like Chuba Hubbard. I like the receiver room of Ted McMillan and Xavier Legette. And their defense has kind of come into its own with J.C. Horn leading the way in the secondary. Meanwhile, Jacksonville has quite a few more question marks for me compared to Carolina, so I'm giving the edge to the Panthers. First overall pick, Cam Ward and the Tennessee Titans are making the cross-country trip to play the Denver Broncos, as the Broncos are 8-point favorites in this game. Tennessee is a team that definitely intrigues me this year. I feel like they could compete for that division if Cam Ward just plays a consistent style of football and then plays smart with the football. They have the pieces to be a really solid team, both offensively and defensively. But this is a very tough test in the first week of the season. Denver's a team that overperformed last year, at least in my opinion. Their defense played incredible. They only got better and added pieces to it this offseason. And Denver's a team that I feel like had one of the best off seasons in the NFL. But second year Bo Nix, going to be interesting to see kind of what kind of sophomore slump he's going to have, if he even has one at all. And the receiver room still pretty much the same. You have Courtland Cutton, you have Marvin Mims, but he added Troy Franklin, and he's going to be a solid piece to pair with Bo Nix, who was his college quarterback. And the running back room, you have J.K. Dobbins, who's coming off of a bit of an injury, but you have R.J. Harvey, who have sung the praises about all offseason. So I guess I am high on Denver. Thus, I have the Broncos winning this game. I do feel like, though, it has the potential to be a closer game than the 8-point spread so far. I feel like this could be a one-possession game. I feel like Tennessee could definitely surprise people in this one and potentially make it a game that comes down to the wire. By the end of the day, I am going to lean towards Sean Payton and that Denver Broncos team. An NFC West battle is next as the 49ers travel to play the Seattle Seahawks. 49ers are 2.5-point favorites in this game. Seattle is a team that I'm really hoping does surprise me this year, because I feel like the league is better when the Seahawks are a really competitive team and when Lumen Field is packed and is loud and is rocking. But at the same time, their offense just leaves me with a lot of questions. The main one being Sam Darnold. He's not going to have one of the best receivers of all time thrown to this year. So can he put up a similar level of performance? Can he put up a comparable level of performance? Seattle's season is going to drastically depend on if Sam Darnold can consistently get the ball to JSN and Cooper Kupp. Yes, they have Kenneth Walker still to hand the ball off to, but Sam Darnold is going to drastically impact the Seattle season. But their defense is a defense that I really like. I'm jealous of their secondary, and I really like their front seven. It's going to come down to Sam Darnold. San Francisco, they're 2 years removed from a Super Bowl appearance, and they have most of those same pieces offensively. They're missing Aaron Banks, who left for Green Bay, and they're missing Deebo Samuel, who they traded to Washington. But at the same time, they still have most of these pieces, and the offense runs through CMC. If McCaffrey can stay healthy, they're going to be just fine. He's expected to play in week 1, and that's going to help out them a lot. They pretty much handled Seattle last year, and I think they're going to handle them in this one as well. I have the 49ers winning, but this game can be a really competitive game, or this game could be a pretty one-sided affair, but I feel like the 49ers, no matter what, are going to be able to come out with the win. The game of the week is next. The Detroit Lions travel to my number one stadium in the NFL, Lambeau Field, to play the Green Bay Packers. The Packers are 2.5-point favorites in this game, and this is going to be a fantastic, fantastic game. The Packers traded for Micah Parsons a few days ago, and that changed this line by a point. They're saying that Micah Parsons gave the Packers an extra point of leeway. And right now, there's some questions about his usage for week 1, if he's going to be available for week 1 because of that back tightness. I think he's going to play. My question is going to be, how long into week 1 will it take for Parsons to get back to the NFL form because he missed all of training camp. He missed most of spring. So that's my main concern is can Micah Parsons instantly hit the ground running? This is a Detroit offense that keeps all the pieces from last year, at least player-wise, of what was probably the best offense in the NFL during the regular season. They still have Jahmyr Gibbs, they still have David Montgomery, still have Amon-Ra St. Brown, still have Jameson Williams, still have Sam Laporta. The main piece that they're missing is Dan Skipper and Frank Ragnow, two offensive linemen. So with the Packers getting Micah Parsons, it's going to throw a wrinkle into this thing. This was the toughest game to predict. I am massively high on both of these teams. I think this could be an NFC Championship preview. I do have the Detroit Lions winning this game. The Lions won both meetings against the Packers last year, including pretty handily in Green Bay last year. I do feel like Detroit is just the more ready team at this point, despite being without both their coordinators and having to replace them. I think Dan Campbell has this team ready to play. Meanwhile, the Packers are probably going to start off a little slow again. If they get too far behind by halftime, that's going to throw a wrinkle into things. But I do have the Lions winning this game. The Houston Texans travel to the Los Angeles Rams, a game of which the Rams are 2.5-point favorites. This game is a great test for both sides, as both sides have questions offensively. The Texans, it's that ground game and it's that offensive line. They traded away Laramie Tunsil, and it was an offensive line that was already weak last year. Are they going to get better this year? How much better did they get if they got better? And then they're without Joe Mixon the first 4 weeks. That's a massive loss to this Houston offense. We saw last year when Mixon can't play, it definitely hurts this offense tremendously. They do have they have all the receivers back. Tank Dell and Nico Collins are there. They have Dalton Schultz ready to play. This is a Houston team that I still feel like are going to win the division, but it's going to be a lot tougher than what it was last year. Meanwhile, the Rams, their front seven will make this Houston offensive line pay. This front seven for the Rams is fantastic. I'm massively high on it. And I just have a lot less questions for the Rams. The only question I really have is Matthew Stafford. He missed all of training camp. He's dealing with that shoulder injury. How is he going to play in this one? I think he'll play just fine at the end of the day. I have the Rams winning this game. And the main reason why is the trenches battle between the front seven of the Rams and the offensive line of the Texans. I am giving the Rams front seven a massive advantage in that, and that alone would be enough to drastically impact this game, and thus the Rams will win in this one. Sunday Night Football, the Baltimore Ravens travel to the Buffalo Bills. The Bills are 1.5 favorites in this one, and this is going to be a great game, a great test for both of these teams. Rematch of the playoff game from last year that Baltimore nearly was able to come away with, and kind of a revenge for Lamar Jackson himself. He lost out on the MVP to Josh Allen, despite having a season that any other season would have been an MVP year. But at the same time, both of these teams are very complete. Maybe I have a little bit more questions about the Bills' defense, but at the same time, Josh Allen makes up for a lot of it because of just how well he's able to play. And they still have quite a few good pieces on that defense that I am pretty confident in saying will be able to make up for weaknesses in the back end. Joey Bosa, AJ Epinesa, Gregory Rousseau, and Ed Oliver is a great front seven to have. Not to mention Matt Milano at the linebacker room. Baltimore's defense, Kyle Hamilton is still there. They bring in Jair Alexander. They have the good pieces still. Roquan Smith is still there. They have the pieces still. Both of these teams have the pieces. Both of these teams are Super Bowl contenders. This could be an AFC Championship preview. I am leaning Buffalo, though. They won the last meeting. Baltimore handedly won the first meeting these teams had last year. But it's in Buffalo. I'm leaning towards the Bills because of that. I'm giving them a little bit of a home field advantage there. This is going to be a very good game, though, and it's just one of the tougher games to predict. I could see Baltimore winning, but I have to lean Buffalo in a game in Buffalo when they've won their past 10 home games in a row. So yeah, give me the Bills in this one. Monday Night Football, Week 1 wraps up with the Minnesota Vikings traveling to the Chicago Bears. The Vikings are favored by 1.5 in this game. And I get why. Minnesota had a great season last year. They won 14 games. Defense was on historic levels. Justin Jefferson is going to be a fantastic player once again. He's one of the best receivers of all time. I have question marks with this team, and they all stem from JJ McCarthy. He's coming off of a season ending injury in the preseason last year. So this is technically his first season as a player. He's getting actual regular season reps this time. He's going to be facing actual regular season NFL defenses this time. So I'm expecting some rookie miscues from him. I'm expecting this offense to take steps back in production, and I'm expecting this team as a whole to take steps back. Meanwhile, Chicago, I'm pretty high on. Ben Johnson, I feel like is going to be a great piece for this team. His offensive scheme is going to make things easier for Caleb Williams, and thus we're going to see Caleb Williams take a step forward in his production. So thus I have the Bears winning this game. All around, it's going to come down to JJ McCarthy making his first ever start in what is technically his rookie season. Meanwhile, Caleb Williams is second year in the league. He's used to this style. He's used to the speed of the NFL now. And he has an offensive coach that's going to make things easier for him and thus he's going to see the field better. I think we're going to see flashes of Heisman win in Caleb Williams in this game. So I do have the Bears winning to wrap up week 1. Okay, so there you have it. All my thoughts on week 1 of the NFL season. We kick things off tomorrow night. I will be live for 6 games this week, beginning tomorrow night. So tune in for all those, and I'll see you all next time. Have yourselves a damn good one.